Swamiji, please start.
Yes. Good evening. Namaste. In this session, at the outset, I wish to say just two sentences on how I highly appreciate our good friend Sushil Jain's anchoring this session every Thursday. Very gently and lovingly, he reminds people like me. Even today, 3 minutes before 6, he called me just to be sure that I am logging in. So without going more into it, Sushil ji, we very much appreciate your initiative and dedication. It helps all of us, for our mind normally gets distracted by endless things of the world. And it is these dialogues which help us apply our mind to some important questions of life. All right. So, friends, we have the topic, significance of what is. Over the years, this topic of what is has grown in my own understanding to be more and more significant. Thinking about it, it seems that in a whole lot of so-called spiritual philosophies, a lot is said about what should be, what should be, what a marriage should be, what an educational institution should be, what a country should be, what I should be, what we should be, etc. And to an extent at least, what is, what actually is going on in a marriage, in a school, in some other organization, and in one's own life. What actually is going on is many a time taken for granted. It's like somebody entering a huge campus, let's say of IIT Madras, as an example. Somebody enters the campus and says, I want to go to mechanical engineering department. And the guards say, okay, here is a huge campus map. You can figure out how to proceed towards the Department of Mechanical Engineering. In the map, he sees a building indicated or marked as Department of Mechanical Engineering and says, okay, I'm going there. How can he go unless he knows where he is in that map? He has to know where the Department of Mechanical Engineering is, and very importantly, he has to know where he is. Especially large campuses have multiple entrances, and such campus maps are also placed at several places in the campus. So where I am standing, where I am, is as much important, if not more, as is where I should be going. This evening, the topic of interest to us is what is. I must confess that in the early years, I myself was not clear what this what is all about. Luckily, it became clear to me pretty early in my journey. But even today, I meet people, even in the so-called Krishnamurti circles, who are not clear about this expression, what is. And I highly admire Krishnaji for not being too specific, for when you sometimes are trying to be too specific, there is certain injustice to the truth of the matter. What I mean, for example, is if Krishnaji had said, what is in your mind? That's what I mean. That would have been a bit inaccurate because this expression, what is, has wide ranging significance. It does imply what is in my mind, but it also implies, it includes what is in somebody's behavior, what is on branch of a tree, what is at a distant star or planet, what is on maybe my hand. An insect is sitting on my hand. That is also what is. What is, therefore, to do full justice to the expression, cannot be compartmentalized, cannot be limited to any particular area of investigation. What is, therefore, calls for, it warrants a certain quality of attention which really has no agenda. I walk into a hall where there are 20 people, let us say. If I have a preconceived agenda, well, when I attend this meeting today, I will observe this principal's behavior more closely. This lady with two PhDs recently has been behaving in a certain way. Like that, suppose I'm already preoccupied with some judgments about, in this example I constructed offhand, the principal of an institution. I already decided I'll pay attention to her. I hope she talks with a certain balanced mind today. Da, 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 if I think, where is true attention? I must have a certain openness. Maybe the principal would say something or do something which would warrant special attention to what she is saying, or maybe it would be somebody else. Or what is more, in this particular meeting this morning, where I have joined as member of some committee, more than anyone else, probably my own behavior requires certain observation, certain special attention. Why did I get excited about something that was said in the meeting? Or why did I get irritated? I'm using the expression why. Nobody should imagine that being aware of what is chasing the question why. Why did this happen? Okay, that is the cause. Why did that happen? Oh, its cause is something else. Why did that happen? It has another cause. This cause hunting, which is perhaps to a great extent what analysis means, that will land us in another trap of its own. Though, for explanation's sake, we said Why did I get annoyed? Why did I get so elated? For explanation's sake. But it's nothing to do with why as such. Without asking why, without asking how, without comparing with how it should have been, etc., etc., is it possible for us to simply observe whatever there is? Sorry, behind me, a JCB is running at this Radha Swami Satsang ashram behind me. Some work. So bear with me for a little noise behind me in the campus behind me. So, like in the great sciences, chemistry, biology, or physics, or maths, and so on, we sometimes raise our eyebrows at a certain precision of some statement and certain profound significance of that statement. Here, in this science of living itself, we have reason to be really taken aback at the profound significance of what is. Unfortunately, even the very educated people, even those who have won some awards, those who have received international acclaim for some work of theirs in some field, are not skilled enough to notice what is in its entirety. Early morning at 5 a.m., I was trying to select just some 300 words on holistic medicine. I had to write a little piece for a magazine I am editing. Holistic medicine. And over there also same issue. A wonderful German author had written some 10 pages. All I wanted was half a page, but I had to glance, I had to browse that article. And in a striking parallel to what we are discussing, the significance of what is, he too said things like how Western medicine, which is otherwise great in its own ways, is so obsessed with the physical body. Any ailment, any disorder is traced to malfunction either at organs level or at a cellular level or maybe intracellular level. But everything is physical. It should be observed with maybe a microscope, maybe with some advanced medical equipment. But everything is physical, including whatever secretions, chemicals, all of them are physical. And the author, who also is a physician in Berlin, laments in his article that many a time the root cause of a certain ailment is in the mind or in our relationship with nature, in our relationship with the environment. It is some disharmony in interpersonal relationships which has caused the ailment. But in modern medicine, we go to a hospital, we go to a very distinguished physician, he examines various parameters, blood pressure or blood glucose or creatinine or so many diagnostics these days. And looking at whether particular secretions, particular parameters, particular chemicals in the body, various, red blood corpuscle or white blood corpuscle count. There are so many counts. Mind mind you, they're all physical. If they are not okay, then the Western medicine has some medicine to give. Take this every day, then your count will get back to normal. Bear with me. Having said that, just the other day I read a piece where a very senior physician has acknowledged and admitted that a lot of these Western medicines, which can bring the blood glucose down or hypertension down, and they can do wonders in a sense, but it seems they are known to affect our memory. Generally, as we get old, I guess we lose memory. But if for 20 years, 25 years, I have been taking diabetic medicine as an example, if that report is true, that medicine brings my memory down, it damages brain in some way. Oh, what a terrible news. Okay, what's the connection with what is? Yes, there is a great connection. What is the entirety of our existence. Last few days, let us say my blood pressure is high. I go to the physician and I also report, doctor, I'm having, I think, high blood pressure. Please, you check once. And he also or she also examines the physical parameters. We don't talk at all about how I have increased tension with my teenager daughter. The 18-year-old girl till recently was the center of my all my love. Now she is 18, she questions everything. And sometimes she even says, Dad, you don't know. You are of Victorian age. You don't belong to modern times. Whatever. You know, parents have their own heartburns. Life is so strange. People have no children who have no children have their sorrow, and two people who have children have their own sorrow. So neither the doctor nor the patient are taking into account, I would repeat that expression, the entirety of what is. The entirety of what is includes the constant arguments I have with my teenager daughter, the, the disappointment I have with my boss at work, who again and again prevented a raise for me, and number of things. All of them are part of what is, undeniably. What do I mean by undeniably? My friction with my daughter, my disappointment with my boss at work, and my a little bit of an inferiority complex about not being very good in social etiquettes in parties, etc. I'm not able to steal the show. Others are stealing the show. I just stand at a distance and watch, and I feel inferior about it. And a lot of such things are not imagined. I'm actually going through them. I actually have emotional ups and downs when in some party, a lot of people come and greet me. Good evening, how are you? They ask. I enjoy that attention. And some other parties, even as I try to get into some conversation, I am pushed aside or people don't turn away from me. Oh, these are not imagined. I actually go through. And that is what is the movement of the self. So, what is, once more, I began with that, in its true significance, doesn't exclude anything at all. A solar flare in the very, very distant star called the Sun, the center of our solar system. So, Saura Vyuha, as we call it. There is a flare. That also is part of what is. But yes, while all of that is part of what is, The movement of the self in us has certain special place. That's all we can say. We cannot make it exclusive. If any of us tries to exclusively pay attention to workings of the self in us, that itself will strengthen the self. Because in the process of embarking on what is praised in spiritual literature as self inquiry, self observation, self exploration, and then it seems you come upon something called self realization. Wow, all bombastic words. Out of excitement about that bombastic language, it's quite possible that I become insensitive to what my 18-year-old daughter is going through, what my 21-year-old son is expecting from me, the father. I am blind, I am deaf, even if the son comes and says, Appa, I want to say something to you. Ah, let's discuss during the weekend, okay? And back of my mind, I'm thinking, I want to sit down for intense self-inquiry. What nonsense. In your obsession with so-called spiritual liberation or some kind of moksha or some kind of enlightenment, right? You behaved so insensitively with your son. We are not saying you should immediately agree. Come on, let us sit down. What is it you want to ask? No, don't think in opposites. One extreme is I am insensitive. Okay, son, I think weekend we will discuss that. Making a face. On the other extreme, thoughtlessly, while actually there may be something important to attend to, I say, "Ah, I have decided to be very understanding and a caring father. Come on, let us sit down, and so on. It's neither about yielding thoughtlessly nor resisting or postponing something thoughtlessly. Rather, it is about being attentive to anything outside and inside. Someone may say, oh, so if this what is includes everything outside and inside, to the right, to the left, above, below, solar flare, and some pain in my knee joint, if it includes all these thousands of things, paying attention to what is not my cup of tea. Someone may get exasperated. Someone may say, I cannot do it. Oh dear, it's not anything about doing. You don't have to do anything at all. On the contrary, this despair, this frustration, this notion that this kind of teachings are above my head, beyond my head, this makes me nervous, etc. That is part of what is. You have imagined whatever they call self observation to be some advanced technique possible for some rare few. Be aware of what you have been imagining, what you have been creating a picture of. You and I have the habit. I think pretty much everyone has this. Let's say we are going to receive tomorrow somebody. Okay, a professor of All India Institute of Medical Sciences is coming to Rajghat. We are in Rajghat. We are going to receive. That professor, it seems, has much interest in J. Krishnamurti. So three or four of us are going to receive him in the beginning, and we are planning. And we have never met this man, Professor B.L. Saxena, doctor. Now, what is the habit I'm talking about? Invariably, we sort of imagine a certain figure. Oh, professor at AIMS, the most well-known medical institution, hospital, research center. Man must be looking like this. We imagine he must be maybe a well-built person, coated and booted and suited, and finally we may find that that person is just the opposite of the physical figure we had imagined. Physical and in other respects, we might imagine, but the actuality is different. So, friends, I hope I am not dragging on in a rather dry manner. In countless areas, domains of our psychology, our behavior, how we treat others, how we treat ourselves, how we respond to some treatment we would have received, pleasant or unpleasant. Finally, all that boils down to noticing what actually is and not getting carried away by some imagination, some fancy, some idealistic or ideological picture of how a person should be or could be, how a situation is, and so on. Lastly, I am not saying that you should not have any picture. Like in my example, a professor of All India Institute of Medical Sciences is visiting Rajghat and he wants to spend 4 hours. And when we asked him on phone, would you like to have lunch with us? I love to have, I want to go only after having lunch, suppose he said. In view of all that, in view of what we have heard about All India Institute of Medical Sciences, etc., it is quite okay to, to have a certain picture. But what we are saying is let that picture not, you know, drive away, not corner everything else. Let it be in a corner of our consciousness. Let it be what we call tentative. Let it be provisional. And with words like, not just words, that is the outlook. Oh, this Professor Saxena, I had just a telephonic conversation with him. Probably, in spite of all his academic qualification and position, quite a simple and humble human being, probably. We don't know. We would not know even after he spends those 3 or 4 hours with us tomorrow. So that is wisdom. Wisdom is when we do welcome relevant data, information. That Saxena is a professor, that he spent 15 years in UK in a big hospital before he was called and he accepted the offer to be a faculty at AIMS. That his wife also is highly qualified. All this information is not to be thrown into a dustbin. No, no. We take into account. Oh, okay. Was he in UK for 15 years? Oh, I see. And even some maybe irrelevant information. His wife is Russian. Okay. And then biodata, profile comes to us. We take into account. But this profile, these details, etc., are actually a drop in the bucket. A person's personality, the person's psychology, the person's beliefs, person's outlooks could be very different from what we might have imagined and what we might have tended to have presumed. Ah, I know he will be like this. Wait a minute, he may not be. So, life is all learning. At a point of time, you and I believe we are mature. After 5 years, we say, in 2022, so immature I was. No, A friend may ask, now are you mature? In 2027, somebody asks you, are you mature now? You are confessing that you are, you know, somebody today shared a Hindi word about immature and mature. You know, उन दिनों में हम इतने कच्चे थे. So that made me say this, immature. आजकल क्या हम proud I think Hindi word, Sanskrit word, proud is mature. Are we mature now? We don't know. The best thing is not to have any image of ourselves, not to conclude. Yeah, it seems we have learned lessons, we have mellowed down. It seems we are now more careful. It seems we have better outlooks. It seems we are less judgmental. But in spite of all that learning, probably we still are childish in certain aspects of ours. Not just to use these beautiful philosophical words, but to have a certain intimate feeling about that outlook. I don't know really where I stand. And maybe it is not important to pigeonhole myself. I am here on a scale of 100. I am at 62. My wife is at 53. Where is the need to give a certificate to ourselves all the time? It seems we have come a long way. My wife and I both have learned a lot of lessons. It seems we have come a long way. Or maybe not. We have much more to learn. So that kind of tentativeness helps us pay better attention to what is. Otherwise, we are caught always in some concepts. So in many domains, in many areas of life, what actually is needs to be noticed, and the ideas of what should be, what should have been, that is, it has a place, but it's of very great importance to pay attention to what is. With these words, let me pause. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, sir, for giving such a wonderful talk. May I request Harshad, sir, would you please say something? Harshad, sir, please unmute. And...
Yes. Are you able to hear my voice?
Sir, we are able.
Okay. Thank you, Swamiji. You are quite right in saying that what is happening in our own mind, it is affected by what is happening in the outer environment. So the inner environment and the outer environment, they are connected. And even quantum physics scientists also saying that everything is affecting everything else. So true that our mind, what is happening, our thoughts and feelings, they are affected by what is happening outside. Just like if there is a lot of noise going on outside and we get disturbed, or a dog is barking, and that affects us. But what Krishnaji is pointing out is that it is very important to look at what is happening in our own mind, irrespective of what is happening outside, because we don't have control over the outward environment situation much. But there is a possibility of listening to the barking of a dog or some noise of a machine. So this what is changing every moment by moment. And sometimes we are very we are very happy, and then suddenly we become very serious, or some other thoughts begin to come. So I feel that it is wonderful to watch ourselves, because what is happening, and if we are able to see very clearly what is happening, it gives us a direct knowledge about our own self, that how our mind is affected by the outside environment. And it is like a film is going on within us. Or sometimes I consider, I compare a metaphor, like our mind is like a soap bubble. And when a soap bubble, if you look at it, as it is expanding, there are beautiful colors are spreading on the surface of the bubble, and those colors are continuously changing. So everything outside is reflected on the surface of the bubble. So our mind is something like a soap bubble, and whatever is happening outside is reflecting on in our own mind, and continuously thoughts and feelings are changing. And but apart from these thoughts and feelings, what is which is changing, there is a possibility of observing it, and not reacting with what we see, what is happening. That means no interference in watching, observing what is. And when such a thing happens, then sometimes everything comes to a stop, and there is a pure observation, and sometimes even the thoughts and feelings, they come to a stop. Actually, there may be thinking going on, and but without the thinker, which comes out from thinking generally, and then we say, I like it, I don't like it, this thinker which says. But if thoughts are moving, and without a thinker, the sense of me coming, then there is no duality between thinker and thought, and then there is no what is and what should be. There is only what is happening, and in that there are no problems. Only when the thinker comes and says, I don't like it or I like it, then there is disturbance with what is, and then there is a duality starts, and most of our problems happen not because of thinking and feeling. They can go on without any problem, but only when this sense of I or me, which we can call it a false self, not the true self, or not a pure observation, only when this false self of what we call I or me or ego, then there is a duality between thinker and thought, and then there are many problems happen. So sometimes I also give a metaphor of, like, when a person is, suppose a person is able to travel with light itself with a very, very high velocity. Generally, it is not possible. But if a person is able to travel with the speed of light, then the chronological time stops for that person, and that person remains young forever, because we grow old because of chronological time, which is due to the movement of the sun and the earth. Similarly, when this thinking is moving and there is the observation, means moving with what is, moving with thoughts and feelings without changing it, then there is no thinker, there is no psychological time, and there are no psychological problem. So that is also a wonderful thing to happen, that if a human being can observe thinking as it is without changing it, and Krishnamurti calls it choiceless awareness, which we can also call intelligence, or seeing things exactly as they are. And in that, there is something, a wonderful state of what we call love, beauty, happiness, which is in which there is no psychological time. And I think I have said that we cannot change what is happening outside, and sometimes we are able to change, but so many things in the universe, everything is, something is going on and that is affecting us. We cannot change the outward environment, but there is a possibility of looking within us through this choiceless awareness, uh, seeing without adding to whatever is unfolding. And it is like a video is going on and we are watching Krishnamurti's video. But similarly, what he is saying, we can also learn by watching the video which is going on within us, which tells us exactly what we are. And in that, there is no hypocrisy, uh, um, uh, no duality. And in that, there is a direct learning. And that is what I think Krishnaji is trying to point out, that don't think so much about what he is saying, but look at your own thoughts, what is happening inside you, and learn directly. So that is the way I feel. And video is going on all the time. And if we are able to observe it very, very clearly, there's a direct learning, and that affects our life, our relationship with people around, and we become really aware of, even if some anger or conflict or fear or jealousy arising, we can see it very quickly. And when we see it quickly, then there is a disappearance of that. And when we are not looking, then again those problems may come. So one needs an ongoing observation of what is happening within us. And when we are not aware, then there are many anxiety, fear, uh, thoughts about future, about past will come, and then that will create problem. But in watching, observing what is, and even in that observation, if a thought about the past or the future comes, it doesn't create problem, as long as this awareness is there, and we know that yes, it is a thinking from the past, or it is about the imagination about future. It doesn't create problem as long as we are watching things, thoughts as they are. So, okay, I have said enough thing. Thank you very much.
Anybody can raise hand and ask. Raminder Kaur, please unmute and say.
Namaste, sir. When we are observing this, what is, but when we are acting from doing some physical action or we are doing some activity, then the mind gets preoccupied with the activity and it stops observing what is going on inside as the mind. So this I have noticed in myself that during the when I am inactive, the body is inactive, mind is somewhat silent, then this sort of activity observation is happening. But once the mind gets occupied, especially when we are doing some job profession, so our aim and targets are fixed, they have a pressure, so that sort of pressure, the mind yields to that and is unable to maintain that equilibrium.
Swamiji.
Yeah. Yeah, that is a problem all of us face. However, as there is greater clarity about the subject, we find that we have to an extent made it into a problem. It is by itself not so much a problem because, yeah, for a while we were so absorbed in the work and later on we were little more available. But we have a picture that I should be noticing my thoughts all the time. That picture is the problem. The ideas of how I should be causes a lot of problem to us in living rightly. But that's where I began saying, yes, there is more clarity. In fact, in this context, I may share with you how I got some wonderful clarity many years ago when I read a little question answer with Krishnaji in one of the books, where answering somebody, he suddenly says about himself that for me, if I get just 2 minutes to observe myself, I go to very great depths in 2 minutes. 2 minutes are enough. You don't have to imagine that for hours you should be on vigil. So he thus in that answer where he says in 2 minutes he can go very deep. He actually clarifies that the length of time is not at all an issue. It is depth. This is my words now. Not the length, but depth. Not the quantity, but quality. Therefore, even here and there, if things fall in place, you know, so you had a very busy day. Let's say evening you went for a short 20 minutes walk. Who knows? And unexpectedly, a certain insight rises in you. Some heartburn, some conflict, some disappointment shows up in your mind. And in the light of all these teachings and discussions, sharing, etc., you begin to see it from a different angle of view. You enjoy it. Then maybe you just sit down at a bench, if there is a bench on your walking path, and just be with that thought. So it's rather than doing something, many a time it is being with a certain intelligence operating in you. Intelligence has begun to operate, you just be with it. The bird has started singing, and you say, "Ha!" and you just stop and listen to that bird singing. So, like that, in every one of us, the bird of intelligence sings at unexpected moments, and we may just take full benefit of that in the manner of saying. That's it.
Pradeep ji, please unmute and say.
Yeah. Am I audible, sir?
Yeah.
Okay. I enjoyed fully what has been said by Swamiji and Harshad ji as what is today's, what is this moment. Then the topic is very interesting, significance of what is. Now this significance must be or is for all of us who are variously conditioned. First thing. Then what is? This again depends on the observer in us, although ideally, even scientifically, there should be pure observation, as has been, he was talking about, Harshad was talking about pure observation, and invariably he talks about that. Then what I see, what is dynamic, changing moment to moment. Observation, my observation, to me, what is includes the observer, because what is the whole. Swamiji also said it. Because a few points came in these talks, these two talks. To me, sensitivity is different in different persons. Imagination is also part of what is. All the stories are part of what is. Choiceless awareness is aware of what is. If I'm a fragment, I see fragments as a very small sector of the whole. So it comes back to me to what right now, and then what is attention, how one can attend to the whole. These things remain questions to me. So these are certain points which I have jotted down, which Harshadji or Chidanandji will clarify if it is wrong, because we are variously conditioned. We all have observers. We all lead our life differently. And what has been said invariably as teachings belong to a category, what should be pure observation with a conditioned mind can be to start with in imagination only. So invariably we are giving significance to what should be. Otherwise it wouldn't have been so difficult. You see, even after so many years, an observer is an important, even quantum physics, through everything physical physics, they have seen that how observer affects the observation, the observed rather. So what I am right now is all that I have talked about. So this is what is me, around me, learning, everything, seeing, and all that. So we could not rather, as I see it, avoid this fact that this is what is. We are all highly conditioned with observers. Can you deny it? Observation without observer. Choiceless awareness. Who doesn't have choices? When we go and enjoy nature, if I like certain things, it's not bad at all. Choices will always be there, provided you don't want repetition. That is all. Thank you very much, sir, giving me time. Thank you so much.
Shakti sir, please.
Yes, sir. This, I was reading a line by Krishnamurti. It's in 1980, a dialogue with Donald Smith, a journalist. He said, the very seeing what is changes what is. Now this is very interesting, because if I am watching what is, and I keep thinking that it has not changed, I am really not watching. But the sentence was very, it's like, and we can see it in our life. we are in a certain feeling is overpowering us. And if there is a watching, if we stay with that what is, something starts happening to that. As Vermaji has just said, that what is never static, it's a flux. And but if we go to what should be and what has been, then that feeling is goes in a very different way. And also Krishnamurti talks about watching the outside world. That is also part of what is. You know, sometimes during a dialogue with someone, they are talking about some problem, life, fear and all that. And he suddenly says, can you look at those flowers there? Or that solitary tree on the hill? So that is also part of being what is, to be with whatever is happening outside, whatever I am doing outside. And this is easier said than done, because not watching, not being with what is something very strong. I see it within myself. To be mechanical. So, but whatever, I think everybody, if experiments with it, even while walking from one place to other place, if I am attentive, if I'm with what is, the way I walk changes. So there is something very mysterious in these things, because it seems that it can be done. But when one goes into the testing out, experimentation, then one comes to know that it's arduous and needs some sort of priority to this kind of inquiry. Thank you, sir.
Comment from Chidanandji.
I don't have any comments on these points. Well taken.
Dinesh Waghmare. Waghmare, please.
Are you able to listen to me, sir?
Yeah.
Yes.
Today's topic is significance of what is. What I am trying to achieve by giving significance to what is. What is significance? Why I am giving so importance to the what is? So to me, first of all, let us see what is what is. As Swamiji rightly said, entirety of my existence available to me in the moment is what is, which Swamiji has defined in a great depth already. Now, why I am giving it so significance, or why JK has given it so significance? To me, in my views, what JK was trying to say is people give a lot of importance to the what should be. And that is important also, and that is obvious also. One is having troubles or having problems with the issues available to him, or he is having those issues and he is not happy with that. So he goes for the what is, and he plans for what is, he acts for the what is, what should be. So what JK was trying to say, in my views, that one should give importance to, not give importance to what should be, he should give importance to what is. Means he should attend to what is. What happens when we plans for what should be, we make so many concepts, so many ideas that this will take this much psychological time, or this will take so many times, so much time. So that is okay. In some fields, time is required, say for development of skill or development of any learning of language or that sort of thing. Time is required. But when it comes to the psychological issues, many issues can be attended immediately or instantaneously, and those may not require that time, psychological time particularly. So what he was trying to explain, or what he was trying to point out, that, of course, this is my understanding, that what he was trying to point out, that if you attend to what is, there is a possibility that many issues may change instantaneously. As Shakti Kumar was also, Shakti ji was also trying to say, when you see it very clearly, there is a possibility of change in it. And so we have to attend to what is, rather than conceptualizing or having ideas about what should be. If we attend to what is, naturally, whatever changes have to take place, those will convert into what should be automatically, as per the need, or as per the situation, or as per the real need. If you are having, it may change. If the situation permits, it may change, or whatever has to happen, it will happen. But one should try to attend to what is, rather than planning for what should be, that after 4 years I will be doing this, or I will gain this thing, or what will happen. Even this concept has, even we see in today's world, this has happened very has come in people's psyche naturally. Say for example, even cricketers say that we don't plan for the next rounds, and we see each ball, and we go for the merit of each ball, and then we try to attend that ball and go further, and we see match to match what happens. So this is what JK was trying to say, and he was giving the significance to this, that one should attend what is. But of course, that doesn't mean that you will not be having the thoughts or other thoughts, and you will not be having your. It is not needed that you should be totally free from your conditioning. Conditioning will be there, and may be there, I should say. And as Vermaji was pointing out, there will be maybe a conditioned observer who is seeing, and he is able to see only the fragment of what is, not the totality of what is. That is possible, but one should attend to it. One should be aware in the moment to moment, and try to attend whatever to the best of his ability, whatever available in the present moment. That's what I want to say. Thank you.
May I say something?
Yes, sir.
Yes, Dinesh ji, in your speech, you are saying so many should be, but that is not Krishnamurti's teachings. What is means, can one see what is unfolding in our own mind? And so this is not a kind of a concept what Krishnamurti is trying to say, but one has to one can experiment. And as Shakti ji says, he used the word priority. What is our priority in life? Are we really interested and are very curious to look at what is happening, not what should be, but what is happening? And we are using many words, all of us, but actual doing, it doesn't require words. Because this attention, looking, is non-verbal. And when it really happens, then we really feel the beauty of it. That, yeah, there is possibility of looking at a flower or a tree without words. And that is why Krishnaji was saying again and again, how do you look at a tree or your wife? Because he was saying that there is a possibility in human, in ourselves, in each one of us, to see everything clearly. And when that really happens, then our life changes at a deeper level, and it affects the whole life. Our quality of relationship also undergoes change. Before, if somebody said something unpleasant and you were worried and thinking so much about yourself, but when this observation comes, then you listen to criticism and then you see whether it is true or false. And that seeing is non-verbal. So when this non-verbal dimension comes, then all this word attention, choiceless awareness, all it becomes clear. Otherwise, they become like a concept that we should be aware of what is happening like that. And saying it very casually that we should be aware. But the question is, are we really aware? And not even asking such question, because a person who is very sensitive, even without asking question, begins to look non-verbally. So to me, it seems like asking a question is like dropping a stone in a quiet lake, and it creates a lot of ripples, lot of thought, feelings, and then looking at it, then we can't see what is at the bottom, at the unconscious level. So only when there is conscious mind is very clear, very silent, we can see whatever is coming, what is. And if there is a fear or anything coming, it is seen by this observation. And then that perception becomes the action like that. So the whole thing is non-verbal, and one is, as Krishnamurti says, freedom is at the beginning, but none of us are free at the beginning. But when we listen to Krishnamurti or someone or read a book, and in that reading we catch, or listening, we catch something non-verbally, and then we become very curious to examine in our own life, then changes start happening. A real transformation comes in the way we live. Okay, I've said enough. Thank you.
Can I say something here, sir?
Yeah.
Yeah, actually, in my views, whatever you said is I agreed, but I do not consider any division between the outer world and inner world, or in that way, even the division between intellect and your emotions and feelings. At some level, they are all interlinked, as you rightly said earlier also. So, whenever anything comes, it will affect whole of your psyche, and psyche is recording or getting data from all over the world, and all over the outer world, as well as from the inner your reactions and responses. So all of that thing is coming to appearing in your mind at the same time. So how do you see it? We only give importance to emotions or intellect sometime because that issue is more prominent at that particular moment. But otherwise, all the things are appearing at the same time, and you have to see the totality, and not only the inner responses or reactions or the outer. We cannot make any division. That's what I feel, sir. Thank you.
Anand sir, please.
Yes, sir. So what you are, what is the fact, sir? What should be and what should not be are non-facts. Can I look at that seriously is what is required. And Krishnaji also said, if you begin to understand what you are without trying to change yourself, then that you undergo a transformation. That is what he says. So we never remain with what is. It's always, what it should be, what it should not be. I'm quickly moving from it. I'm putting within words quickly move away because I don't know what is what. It's so instantaneous. I move away from it. whether I like it or dislike it. I say it should be there, should not be there. So when I remain with it, there is a transformation or there's an understanding of oneself. That is what I wanted to convey, sir. That's about all. Thank you.
Raminder Kaur,
Sir,
please.
like where I feel that there is an observer and the observed, or a thinker and a thought in me. So when I am observing what is, does it dissolve the thinker, or like what is the procedure that would happen? Because the observer is established in me already, but although there are instances when this observer is dissolved, but they are far and few. Mostly the observer is there. So what would be the procedure like? If anybody would like to comment, please. Thanks.
Can I make any comment on this? And then I would like to have Harshad sir's views.
Please. After Harshad
In
Parekh,
my views, what happens with me? Yes. Can I say something here?
after Harshad
What
sir.
happens with I can share. Okay. Let Harshad sir say first.
Harshad sir, please.
Yeah. Yes. I think initially one needs to be alone and very, very curious to look inward, because generally our mind is occupied with many, many things which are outside. But initially, when a person becomes curious to see how these thoughts are coming and how they are changing, and initially one needs to make some effort to be alone and look inward. But if that is really helping, then you would like to do it more. Whenever you are free, you, instead of turning on the TV or newspaper, you would like to just sit quietly, look at the tree, look at what is happening inside, and your own experience or what you feel, either that will take you to observe more and more, and then after some time you may not need to make any effort to watch or look inward. That is what I feel, that initially, even when we want to learn music or language, we need to make some effort. But once we are good in a language or music, it flows by itself. And we are not thinking, but thinking is happening. And there is a possibility of looking at this thinking happening by itself. And I myself wonder why some thoughts suddenly come. And though I am not thinking about it, but it is possible for a person to watch the beginning of a thought. So sometimes I am able to catch even the first one or two words of a song, old song, which comes to my mind, and I see it, yes, this is coming. So it requires a freedom to watch. Like sometimes I say it is like being in an empty room, and from the door somebody enters, and you know that somebody has entered. So this awareness or attention or whatever word we use, in that state, we can see whatever is coming, whatever is unfolding in our mind. And it requires mostly curiosity, intensity, passion, priority. If these are our qualities, we can learn without much reading books. We can learn by direct observation. A little bit reading may be necessary in the beginning, but after we can really watch our own mind and learn. And that will be very authentic not authority, but it will come from your direct way of looking. Okay, I have finished. But the desire to become aware all the time, it doesn't help. To be all the time, we may not be aware. But whenever we are aware, everything moves very beautifully. And that is all. Okay, I finished.
Waghmare, still you wanted to say something?
Yes, I can share my understanding and my what happens
Please.
with me. One can be aware of both the things, like your observed thing also and your observer also. It's a very dynamic process. We have to understand one thing. What my understanding I'm sharing. Already as moment, whatever you are seeing, that is also created some time ago. Means already a moment is present. Means you are just registering it at the later stage. So one will be having observed thing registration in the mind. At the same time, a observer will also be there, which may be a temporary observer of the recent past, but it will be simultaneously there. So one has to be alert and attentive to observe both the things. Once you are, you know the what choiceless awareness is, or what awareness means actually to it, actually to you, you may be in a position to observe both the things simultaneously, and whatever the right action is there, it will be automatically there. That's what my understanding is. Thank you.
Anand sir, please.
Yes, sir, I just wanted to point out to Madam Kaur that when I see something beautiful, I mean, the me is not there for a split second or so. When I see danger, again, the observer is, I mean, it isn't there when there's when you're at a precipice or when you face danger. Many times sometimes it happens when you're crossing the road, suddenly you move back, okay, without knowing why you have done it. Okay, then you find a car passes by. So we don't give much importance. It does happen many a times. The observer is not there, but then I don't give importance to it. So again, I mean, when the observer is operating, when he's working, what it should do, what it should not do, it says it is a lie. I say I'm a lie when I'm thinking. The moment you say, well, I have to go silence with something, it's something that is something dead, that when I'm only dead, there's silence. So functionally, I mean, how the brain operates, one has to look into it. And if you ask us, almost all of us will come out with some replies. The point is, you have to, I mean, observe. I mean, you have to find for yourself itself. And that is what I would say. When you read Krishnamurti, probably it is not Krishnamurti whom you're reading, it's yourself. That's what Krishnamurti also says. So when you read Krishnamurti, and then even when you say this is what he's saying, that's the interpretation of what he's saying, I interpret. Can I look at that is also very essential. So if I keep looking at that, probably there is a possibility of having some understanding. That's about it now. Thank you.
Shakti sir, would you please end it by your conclusions or wisdom?
This question of observer is everybody's question, you see. And I am just sharing an intellectual perspective on it. You see, it doesn't seem to me to be that dissolution of the observer is the problem, or the goal, or whatever it is. But is this sense of observer separate from what is being observed inside me? Is a fact, or have I learned it from the social milieu and whatever it is, the way I read and all these things? Is it an illusion, or is it an existential fact, a sensory fact? So this has been the question with me, because to say that it is observer is dissolved, thinker is dissolved, I feel I look at it a different way. Thank you.
Raminder Kaur. Raminder Kaur, please end it.
Unmute, ma'am.
She was raising hand.
No, sir, that was a mistake. That was a mistake. Thank
It's
you.
fine. Thank you. Harshad sir, would you please end it? 3 minutes are left.
Yes, like Shakti ji talked and Dinesh ji also talked about the observer. And if that observer is coming from thinking, then it is a part of it only. One is still living with thinking only, whereas this awareness is not an observer. Awareness is in a different dimension than thinking. And generally, this awareness is not awakened, I feel, because once this awareness, choiceless awareness or intelligence is awakened, one feels something very new, something fresh. And it may not stay long initially, but one feels that something new has happened. Then a person is able to look at a tree or a human beings or colors and shapes without thinking, non-verbal looking. And that non-verbal looking is awareness, choiceless awareness, and that is really very, very beautiful thing. And if such a thing happens, a person will know that, yes, it has there. It is not just talking about it, but living with it. Okay, I think we are using too many words in this, but actual thing is non-verbal. And as long as we are occupied with thinking and trying to understand everything through thinking, it will lead to more and more questions. But when the questions drops and one begins to look and really feels the beauty of such a looking, then I think the beginning has been made, I would say. And then there is a depth which may lead to something what Krishnaji calls the ground or all that. It was really happening in Krishnamurti's life for many, many years, this choiceless awareness, intelligence. But only in 1979, he said that there is something beyond everything, the source of all energy, and that he called as a ground, and beyond that there is nothing. So we are just discussing about just the beginning, and I wonder whether we have really made a beginning in our, and if we have made the beginning as some kind of non-verbal looking has come in our life and we really see the beauty of it, then there is a beginning of it and there is a depth, much depth to it. Thank you very much. Yeah.
Thank you very much, sir. On what is not said, but still something remains, let Pradeep end it.
So I have one point to Mr. Harshad Parekh, sir. So Krishnamurti in conversation with David Bohm, he says choiceless awareness is in time. And out of that, there is attention and it says intelligence. Intelligence, he says, is not of time. And also when he says that is something beyond all these things, David Bohm puts a question. He says, who is saying that? Is it saying, it's not Krishnamurti who is saying that. He says, that is saying, he says. So it is not Krishnamurti who was speaking at that point in time. There was, the person Krishnamurti wasn't there. That's the point, sir. Over.
Pradeep ji, please end it.
Just
Here, sir,
one
I want to
sentence.
say one thing.
Just
All the realities are existing simultaneously in the same at the same time. Can we see this?
Yes, we are seeing it. sir.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Pradeep Verma
Thank
ji,
you.
would you please end it?
I'll just one sentence. To
Yeah.
me, awareness is always there, which gets dominated by thoughts. Thoughts are very strong, they distort it. Awareness otherwise is always there, always there. This is not something to be achieved. Nature has given us that. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. May I end it with awareness or unawareness?
Thank you. Thank you, Sushil.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you,
you
sir.
very much.